No kidding. This is probably the 8th or 9th time for the saddle.
Okay. This is still good.
This is the first time Zeus is being worked by somebody other than me. Good boy. What a good boy. I met his sire. He had a very high sport predicate for driving. And he actually, the mare was bred to Folkert before I knew I was going to buy a horse. I wasn't going to buy a horse. I was going to see the stallion show. And what I realized was that I really did like the breed. And I had a crossbred here that I could never register in the B book. And then I had a beautiful filly that had an illegal white spot on her hind foot. So I had two horses that, as lovely and wonderful as they were, I knew the one had a choking problem, and I knew the other one I would never breed because of the white. So when I saw Gertza, I liked her temperament and personality. It reminded me a lot of Sable. And when they walk, here she was, due to foal in 1 month, in a 10 by 10 box stall, in a big giant garage with straw over concrete. Cold. It's January. She foal February 7th.
Oh my God.
Okay? And they lead this mare out of the stall, and her first steps with her hind feet were ginormous. And she'd been standing in that stall, you know, for how many days. And so when I saw her walk, I was extremely interested. Then they took her over and he did a complete inspection. Jan Engelsma used to be a judge.
Okay.
And he actually helped Wander get his breeding certificate. So he's very good friends with Nina, a very big fan of Wander. Okay. Baby, okay. Pretty controlled though for a spook. So he got her out and started currying her, going through her head, whether it was noble or plain and all of this. Well, I liked her so much, silly me, I thought I'm going to act like I don't like her. And so I kind of halfway listened to what he was saying about her, but I already liked her. Well, then they took her out to this big, huge, muddy field where they'd been dumping all of the straw and manure. So it was very deep. And they trot her up and down a little road between the pastures. And I saw that hind end, and I liked the length of her back because I knew she wouldn't interfere. And as deep as she drove off the hindquarters, I wanted a little bit longer back because that black Morgan mare I had had a nice short back, and I had to watch her feet like a hawk. And she reached up and hit a front tendon on me once, and she was laid off for almost 4 months, getting over it. We've been doing the little circles. So anyway, they brought out the next mare, and she looked to me like a Thelwell pony, this next mare. She was...
I was quite shocked the first time I went to a freezing show and saw the mares in the blue boots.
Yeah, here's stallions.
The 3 legs.
What are mares? Yeah. Point. Sorry. He needs to learn. I know. We're flagmen, landing aircraft carriers. Sometimes that's how I feel. I'm doing all these arm signals. So...
I like how his head is coming down and he's kind of going, okay, I'll run.
See the difference? I mean, he's very much more a baby. So this next mare, the Thelwell horse, he said she had gold papers, all star, all prefront, all the way back. Prefront stallions. A prefront stallion has to produce several stallion offspring that are approved on offspring.
Okay, so you're looking at generational genetics here.
And then star and I think they call it queen or something, mare. The mare can get a status if she produces so many star offspring. So this mare had gold papers. And somebody asked him, does she ride or drive? And he, with her papers, she doesn't have to do anything. This horse reproduces. And I had gone in the stall. She had the fairy tale hair, the forelock down past her nose, and you know. And when I went in and looked at her, I moved this tail away, and her hip cut way in. It wasn't round. And to my eyeballs, okay, my uneducated, ignorant eyeballs, looking at general horse conformation, and because I'd had Sable, and Sable was a terrible mover, not a great mover, and I was very familiar with the long hind legs compared to the short front legs, and the long underline, the long top line. So even though Geertje was a little long, she wasn't long the way Sable was. And she was full where the power was going to come from. And the walk told me everything I needed to know. The walk in her butt. So they brought this mare out, and she was $30,000 in full. And then the next mare was a really, really pretty mare. She was already star. She wasn't very much different than Geertje at all. In fact, she was a little shorter than Geertje. Geertje was the tallest.
Yeah, she's good size.
And Geertje was the most baroque.
Okay.
This one was more refined. And he said, but what struck me was this mare. They said this mare a child could ride and drive. Our kids ride her. We love her. We don't want to sell her, but we will. She had a head like a banana. Like a lipizan, you know, the Roman nose? Roman, yeah. It starts on the withers and ends at the nostrils. Yeah. And for some reason, when I saw that mare's head, I went, I could not throw hay at that every day. I'm sorry.
And there is a point with the Roman nose that there are some issues with it.
Yeah, that go along temperament-wise.
I've met a lot of Roman nose horses, and some of them, they're very set, and I often think it's because their vision is sort of affected by that.
I think so too. And looking at her today, I don't think her head is that bad. But back then, I still had Morgan heads in my brain.
Oh gosh, yeah, you have that to compare with. That makes it really tough.
Yeah, I had Morgan heads, and when I saw that head, I just thought I could never throw hay at that, and I could never breed